Okay, before we jump into the initiating process flow, I'm going to teach you the 3 questions that I use to uncover and really understand deeply these flows. Now, these 3 questions are as follows. Number 1, what do we need to accomplish? Like, what's the why? What is the real pursuit that we're after here? What do we need to accomplish by using this flow? By understanding that, that's going to be your North Star. So ask yourself, and I'm going to teach you as we go through each one of these, is what's the big picture? What are we trying to accomplish here? Okay. Now, as we understand that North Star question, we go deeper. We say, how would we do it? If we had to do this, what would be the mechanism, the processes, the tools and techniques? What would we do and how would we use it to produce that goal? All right. That's going to help us understand how the flows go through. And lastly, what would help us achieve it? Like, what raw materials, what situation, what scenario do we need to establish, to help us drive all the way through? Those are the 3 questions that I ask myself continuously as I develop these flows and, refine the understanding of them. And it really will help you as we go through. So let me start off with the number 1 question. When we get into initiating, the first process is right there, develop project charter. Number 1, what do we need to accomplish? What do we need to accomplish in this first initiating? So we're getting the process going. Maybe in our scenario, somebody comes and says, hey, we'd like you to lead this project. Go forth. And so if you're saying, okay, I'm following this initiating flow, what do we need to accomplish? Right at the beginning, do we need to put our team together? Do we need to go, put people to work? Do we need to go balance and see what our costs are? What do we need to do? Like, I didn't know if you thought that I'd be asking you questions right off the bat, but that's how we start here. It's interactive, whether you know it or not. So let me help you out a little bit here. Okay. One of the big things, the primary things that we have to do at the beginning of the project is get clear alignment. All right. Now, I want you to see yourself as an alignment boa constrictor. Now, what does a boa constrictor do? It goes around somebody and it tightens, and then it tightens, and then it tightens, and it tightens, and it tightens, and it gets tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And while I don't want to be squeezed by a boa constrictor, I can see that visual image of getting tighter and tighter. So I'm saying that right off the bat, we got to get alignment, and we're an alignment boa constrictor, weirdly. So we're going to get alignment with whom? We're going to get alignment with that sponsor. So what do we need to accomplish right now? We need clear alignment with our sponsor on what exactly we're delivering on this project. That's what we're trying to do. Okay. That is what the underpinnings and the purpose of this initiating flow is. Understand alignment with the sponsor, and then eventually understand what the whole landscape of the stakeholders is. All right. So we know that. What do we need to do to get there? Okay, what do we need to have? Now, if they just hand you a project A, go ahead and work it, etc., what's going to be happening? Like, how do you understand more? How do you understand the underpinnings of what this project is going to produce? Let's think about that. Okay? What kind of documents would you need? What kind of information might you need? Now, right off the bat, you might say, what's the purpose here? What are we trying to produce? What's the benefit that we expect to get? What kind of assumptions did we make in forming this up? Now, all those things tell you, and to be used common parlance, is the juice worth the squeeze? What are we doing here? What are we going to get out of this thing? And so by asking those questions, in a sense, what you're really doing is you're asking for, hey, give me the business case. Tell me what we're doing here. What is it going to produce? What's the investment worth the reward? What are we, what's going into that? So really key input to get us into this alignment game, like we said, is the business case. Okay? And so the business case creates clear alignment on what the benefits are and how we're going to get them, in a sense. Like, it's money, it's defect reduction, it's customer satisfaction improvement, whatever. Now, inside of that business case, starting this flow out, you're going to have certain assumptions. You might have mathematical models and projections and tables and things that say this is what we expect the growth to be and different rates, etc. But it's going to get you an understanding of what people perceive to be the benefit of this project. Good. You're aligned to that now. Now, additionally, if I give you a project that says, hey, we're going to invest $1 million. All right, cool. And then we're going to get $1.5 million back. So profit in a sense of $500,000. Awesome. Sounds great. What else might you ask at that point? Is every $1 million the same? Could $1 million be different, or $500,000 back be different? Now, what I'm leading to here is in our benefits management plan, we might be saying, okay, we say we're going to, get $500,000 back in return. Great. Now, does it come $500,000 the day we finish? Does it take 10 years to realize it? Do we get $1 a day for some period of time? What is the situation? How are we going to reap our benefits? Who's going to be able to evaluate it? When and how are we going to validate all that, that we've actually improved? So all that stuff at the beginning is getting clear alignment, because at the end, someone's going to ask for a return, right? The customer's going to come, the sponsor's going to come, and they're going to say, give me what I asked for. Give me either the product, the returns, the defect reduction, the customer satisfaction approval. And so we got to set ourselves up right now to be prepared for that in the future. So that benefits management plan works this out and says, this is how we're going to establish what the status quo is right now. Here's what the future is. Here's who's going to evaluate it, etc. So with that, we're ready to start going into this game. Great. All right. So we take that in there. We take the information from that. We start building our charter in Develop Project Charter. Okay. We start putting down, what's the problem statement potentially? What's the, what are we trying to deliver? What's the scope from a high level? What's the schedule from a high level? What's our perceived cost? Who are our big key stakeholders? All those details, all right? Milestones, constraints, etc. We fill it out. All right. Now, as we go through there, we might pitch it around to different stakeholders and get their input. But at the end of the day, we got to have that sponsor alignment. Remember, boa constrictor, tighter and tighter and tighter. So we're taking another squeeze to say, Mr. and Mrs. Sponsor, is this what you wanted? You're the person that I'm working for. Yes, that's what I like. That's what I want. That's what you're going to do. You've got a good understanding of what I want out of this project, says the sponsor. Great. Well, will you sign it? They sign it and that's done. All right. So you got clear alignment, what we want, right? That's going to be the approved project charter. Awesome. Now think about it. It's not only just about the sponsor. We got a whole landscape. We got a team. We got stakeholders, different departments, the community, who knows, subject matter experts, all these people that are affected by our project. Okay. So let's think about alignment and understanding and engagement of them. Now they might come and they might say, I love the fact that you're working a project, but I don't really understand what we're doing here. I don't understand the foundations that we're building off. I don't know the kind of bases that you're basing this off of in a sense. And so to prepare for those conversations and to further deepen our understanding and our engagement, we're going to create what we call an assumptions log. Okay. Now the assumption log starts the day the project starts. Okay. These are the foundational assumptions that we're basing our project off. We expect growth to be this. We expect cost to be that. Whatever the details, we expect the ability to pull labor at this rate or this type of labor, whatever it is. These are the fundamental assumptions that we're operating off of. Now, it's important to know those because as we get into the project, we're going to make decisions based off those. And if we find out that those assumptions are not dead on, what do? Well, we update our assumption log. And then we, use that to better inform our project sponsor and our stakeholders that we might have to adjust our project in time. But we got to have this assumption log running. So awesome. Deeper alignment is what we're going for. Now, as we go forth, as we go down, we see right here, it goes down to stakeholder. We don't want to go just like run the project, plan the project, stuff like that. We want to say, hey, let me be respectful and cognizant of what's going on in the stakeholder world. So we're going to identify stakeholders. And this is the last step in this first key flow. All right. So identifying stakeholders, what do you do there? Well, you look at your charter. What do you have? Key stakeholders identified. Then you start talking to them. You start showing them the charter. You start going out and asking who else is affected, who else is impacted. A stakeholder is anybody who's impacted by the project, knowingly or unknowingly, engaged or not engaged, impacted by the project. So that's great. So we start building up what we call a stakeholder register. Simple language, big long list with a bunch of stakeholders on it. Okay. Now it comes down to names, and then we go sideways on this Excel file if you want to hold it that way. All right. their contact information, their department, their experience, all those different things. Then we get into the power level that they have, the interest, the engagement relative to our project. Now, what are we doing here? We're setting ourselves up to be able to engage them correctly, use them, leverage them, manage with them in the future well. So initiating is all toward, what do we say? Alignment, right? And what are we going to do? We're using the charter to help be that templated, source that we can get alignment with the stakeholder and share it with the sponsor, with the sponsor, and we can share it with the stakeholders as we go through. That's really important, right? We're going to be facilitating, being meetings, all these different things. But at the end, we're going to have the stakeholder register. We're going to have the approved project charter. We're going to have the assumption log, and we're going to get down to good alignment as we go forth. So that's flow number one.